Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to take a quick little look at the Toyota Supras and how they work in GT7. In production between the years of 1985 to 1993, the A70 was actually my introduction to this sporty Toyota. Though no kind of fast could be considered by today's standards, this car was quick and nimble, and it was a blast on winding roads. In my early 20s, one of my buddies had one, and we always tore it up on it pretty good. The top end isn't that impressive, but a whole lot else what the car can do really blew your mind back then. The version of the car you get in Gran Turismo 7 is the 1988 3.0 GT Turbo A. While very stylish, it still has that 1980s boxy look to it. At only 266 horsepower, which was good for the time, asking it to take on anything considered powerful by today's standards is setting yourself up for failure. Early 2000s sedans, hot hatchbacks, and entry-level sports cars are pretty much the maximum limit of this car unless you plan on throwing a lot of money under the hood and into the suspension and brakes. Otherwise, stay in your lane. Despite its flaws, for which there are many, this car is still plenty fun on its Tokyo streets. Once you master the brakes in this car, which isn't really that hard at the speed you're going, you can really swoop through the turns and really have a big advantage on the next straightaway you come on. More complex turns such as hairpins or sharp chicanes, you're just going to have to slow down and creep through them, or you're going to have to upgrade the car, which is exactly what I would choose to do in the end. My final thoughts on the 3.0 GT is that it would still be fun to have on your own, just to cruise around in, especially if it was like one of your cars growing up as a kid that you were really into. But unless you're going to upgrade it, there's no point in actually racing anybody of a respectable speed. Now this car, the 1997 Super RZ, is a true JDM icon. It's one of the top 3 cars in the whole scene. In the original Fast and Furious movie, beside Dom, Brian, Letty, and the rest of the crew, the Supra with the J22 was one of the main characters, and we got a sweet montage of them rebuilding that J22 from scrap and then them destroying everything until the end of the movie when he faced out Dom and the Challenger. This car has also appeared in tons of video games other than the Gran Turismo series. It was a real big thing during the JDM scene for the underground games, Most Wanted, Carbon. It was one of the top cars in those games. And one of my best friends, he's like my little brother, he gets a hard on for a Skyline anytime they're in a game. So, I gotta pick the Supra just to come at him. The funny thing is, this car only comes in with 325 horsepower. That's only 60 more than the last Supra we looked at. But due to aerodynamic technology, the technology behind the brakes, suspension, and a better transmission, this car is so much better that it can take up to Skylines. The only Skyline it can't take on is the new GTR. But Godzilla is in a different level. It's like a little miniature supercar now. It can take on entry-level Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Porsches. Not even the new Supra can do that. The Skyline is just on a different level now. Now, when I was 24 years old, I went to a local community college, got my basics so I could go for my gaming design degree, but I really never got that. But that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is there's this really hot blonde girl there, and she had one of these Supras, and that was a few years after they were hot, but she had it souped up. I mean, they were so popular. And it's funny because my friend's dad told me he bet her dad made her bend over that. And to be honest, if you saw her, I wouldn't blame her dad. The best part about it is I went to the store with her a couple times, and she really didn't drive the car quick at all. She drove it like it was a Corolla or something. And I asked her if she ever got on it, and she told me she was scared to. And I kind of talked to her and let me drive it. And after I drove it that one time, she never spoke to me again. I don't know why. It was fun. Now, the GR Supra RZ is the latest model, and like its forefathers, it only got a 60 horsepower boost over what they had. But like them, it progressively got substantially better. Though, of course, it hasn't been around as long as its forefathers, and it had a bit of a rough start. Many of the improvements that have been made over each year have greatly gone to improve the public opinion of the car. Due to the fact that technologies have had a really big boost in the last decade, the fact that this car only got a 60 horsepower boost doesn't really matter. The aerodynamics are on a different level. Even though it's bigger, it looks kind of shaped like what you would think of a Formula One car. And the suspension and brakes has got that same kind of technology behind them. This thing eats the old JDM cars. Now, in the last Super, you beat them by like 5 or 6 seconds if you drove really good. And this one, you'll beat them like 20 something seconds. You're just crushing them. Probably, yeah, you're not going to mess with the Skyline like I said when I was talking about the last Supra or cars like that. But really, with a few tweaks, you're not that far behind it. Just throw some parts on it and go for it. Have a little fun. Unfortunately for me, unlike in the other two cars, I haven't had any time riding with or being behind the wheel of this car. I went and helped my stepdad take his Tundra to go get serviced around the time this car first came out, and they had a really nice bright red one sitting in the dealership, and I got to look inside of it. I sat in it. It had the plastic on the seat, so they didn't mind. Checked it all out. I really think this car has a really nice profile. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was, and it looks really big in the game too to me, but in real life it's not that big of a car. It looks like a kind of like a more stylish, shrunk down original Viper in a way. Okay, boys and girls, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really had a fun time making it. I'm going to try to do better research in the future, because of course next I got to do Skylines and their history and how they progressed. But if you enjoyed it and you had a good time and want to see more, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that BS. And have a great day and have a good weekend.